In this video, I'm going to show you the effects panel in Photoshop. Now, you've probably seen in a previous video where you were able to add a drop shadow to text using the effects panel. The reason that I'm making a new video is in this newest version of Creative Cloud, you're actually able to add multiple versions of the exact same effect on there. So, for example, before you were only able to add one stroke to the outline of the text. Well, now you can add 2 or 3 or 4 or however many you want, and you can create some really interesting effects doing so. So the first thing that I want to do is show you the text tool. If you look over here on the left, you're going to see a little T. All you have to do is click on that, and then you simply come out to your file here and click one time, and now you can start typing. Now, before I start typing, I want to show you something about the fonts and how to access those. If you look at the top of the screen, you're going to see my font is currently selected as Edwardian Script. That's not a font that I want to use right now, so I want to change that. All you have to do to change that is simply click on that little drop-down arrow, and you're going to see a list of all of the different fonts that I currently have loaded onto this computer. The one that I want to use today is going to be called Impact, and I use Impact quite a bit because it's a very bold sans serif font, and it works well when you're trying to apply strokes and shadows and things like that. Now, a few other things that I want to show you in here. You're also going to notice that you have Adobe's Typekit listed up here. You can add fonts from Typekit. Now, as a student, you may not have access to actually add fonts from a Typekit. However, if you ever purchase your own version of Photoshop or the Adobe Creative Cloud suite, what Typekit allows you to do is actually save fonts from any other computer. You basically save them to the cloud, and you can install them wherever it is that you're actually working on Creative Cloud. So it's a really handy way to make sure that you're keeping up with your fonts and you always have access to the font that you're going to need. So I'm going to go back to Impact. If I wanted to change the size, I could do so right up here. And in fact, I could type a custom size in there by simply clicking and highlighting. But I think 151 is going to be just fine for this. In order to change the color of the font, you're going to see that up here at the top. Right now, it's that kind of pink-purple color that I have selected. You will notice every now and then that you'll start typing and you won't see anything. It's most likely because you have the same color as your background. So I see a lot of students where they'll start typing and it'll be white, and they won't think that they actually have anything there. So the pink is going to be just fine, but again, if you wanted to see something additional, you can click on it and you've got your color picker up there. You can choose whatever color you want. So I'm just going to type something out here. And I'm fine with that. So there's two ways that you can, or there's actually a few ways that you can be done with this. You can either click on the little check mark up here, you can simply hit enter, or you could click out to another tool. Now here's one thing that you need to be aware of. If you wanted to drop down to another line, so for example, I've typed out the word type, and then I want to type below that another word. If I just hit enter like a normal word processor, it's going to think that I'm done typing. You actually have to hold down that shift key, and when you hold shift and hit enter, I can now go to that second line. Okay, so now that I've typed out my word, I want to go ahead and add some effects to it. So if you look over here on your layers panel, all the way at the very bottom, you're going to see where it says FX. And that's all of your layer effects that you can add, not only to type, but to anything that you have in a layer. So I simply click on that FX, and the one that we want to look at right now is going to be stroke. When I click on that, it's going to bring up a window, and in fact, you can see that it's applied a black stroke to that outline. I'm going to increase the size of that a little bit to make it a little more noticeable. If I wanted to add an additional effect to that, any one of these that has a plus next to it will allow me to add that additional effect. So if I simply click on that again, you can see now that I have another stroke there. I can change the color of that second stroke. I need to make sure I click on that second stroke first. I can change the color of it, and we're going to go with a red here. And the position basically is directly over it right now, so you don't actually see anything. If I change the position to, let's say, outside, you're going to see that I now have that red stroke going around the outside, the black stroke going around the inside, and the pinkish purple as the original text color. If I left it on the inside and just made the size a little bit larger, you can see that it starts to go on the inside. You could do the same thing with your inner shadow. You have overlays, you have your drop shadow, and that's one that students like to use quite a bit, so I'll go ahead and put that one on there. So you'll see here with the drop shadow, I've actually got a slight drop shadow. If you want to change the angle of it, you can do so right there. You can change, well, let's make the size a little bit larger, make it easier to see. And the distance. And the spread's really going to be how blurry it ends up looking. So you can start to see that you can add that drop shadow and make it look like your type's kind of popping off the page. Once I'm happy with everything, I'm simply going to hit OK. And now it's done. If I ever decide that I want to disable one or more of those strokes, I can do so here in the Layers panel by clicking on the eye and simply turning it on or off. If I want to turn all of them on or off, I just click on Effects. And now they're all on or off.